I'm speaking to you from the cabinet room of 10 Downing Street. This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the government a final note, stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is now at war with Germany. Those were the words of Neville Chamberlain declaring war on September 3rd, 1939. The actions that Hitler and the Nazi Party took, it would be catastrophic.
Hi guys, I'm Louis, part of the Are You Bored Yet podcast. I'm joined by my good friend here.
Harry.
And by the way, we are playing Hard to Find 4, which I think is quite suiting for the current episode we're doing.
Yes,
This
makes everything more authentic.
Episode 2 of our micro, I don't want to say trilogy, because you'll see potential upcoming episodes. This is titled Blitzkrieg.
Cling to my baby, and she clings to me. We talk of the future, but what do we see? There's a mushroom cloud that hangs in the way. Tomorrow looks black, so we live for the day. Peace, peace, please, where did you go? Oh, peace, peace, please, where did you go?
Harry, take it away.
Right, so we left off on August 31st, 1939. The Germans were getting geared up for the invasion of Poland. They have 62 divisions lined up for the invasion of Poland, including 7 armoured divisions. And on the ground for the Polish, they have only 30 divisions, with 2 reserve divisions. Aircraft, the Germans have 1,300. Polish can only muster 700, most of which are outdated relics from World War I era. As well, during the invasion, we'll get talking more about this, there was rumours of gallant cavalry charges led by the Polish cavalry unit. Very interesting. Anyway, Louis, do you want to tell us about Polish commanders?
Yes, so the main Polish commander who was instilled during the invasion of Poland, or Operation Fall Weiss, or Wies, you Germans can tell me, which is just Fall White. Pretty much on September the 1st, was Commander Edward Rich Smigvu. That took me ages to even.
What a name.
You know, yeah, yeah. So that he was the lead Polish commander, as well as you got his counterparts, the German commanders, the legendary Gerd von Rundstedt, who was the commander of Army Group South, and Fedor von Bock, who was the commander of the Army Group North, as well as Heinz Guderian, who was in charge of the 19th Armoured Corps. Moving on, 16 or 17 days later, in the 17th of September, you have the Soviet commander Semyon Timoshenko, who was appointed to, who was appointed to attack from Soviet land. So yeah, after that, Poland surrendered on October the 6th, which is 35 days later after the invasion. It just got split in half. So that was probably the biggest point and the starter point of World War II. Hence, France and England got involved straight away. Yep. Harry, would you like to?
Yeah, the Germans invaded on September 1st, and Britain and France later then declared war on September 3rd.
Yep.
However, little was actually done. Children were evacuated to the countryside, there was a bit of mobilisation, but otherwise nothing really happened. But
Sorry to interrupt you.
yeah, go on.
Another key fact, which I didn't know: Warsaw actually held out
Oh yeah,
until
yeah.
September 27th.
Yeah, so whilst the rest of the country sort of
being circled.
surrendered, Warsaw fought on, and they rejected German peace plans for surrender. So
Yes, so continue where I interrupted you. I apologise.
yeah, so I just want to say Gerd von Rundstedt, as you can see on my screen here, who I'm pointing to with my mouse, he was really just a Prussian aristocrat. He was one of the few of them left, right? And you'll notice a lot of these German commanders, Heinz Guderian, Erich von Manstein, Rundstedt, I'll come back to Rommel at a later date, but those generals weren't the biggest fan of the Nazi Party, and they often did speak out against it, later being so Erich von Manstein, Heinz Guderian, von Rundstedt, but all later then dismissed due to their feelings, shall I say. So, we are currently getting geared up for fall white. But Louis, do you want to explain, after the Polish occupation, what happened? What went down with Einsatzgruppen?
So, many atrocities were committed by the Nazis because they began to install their racial policies. Unfortunately, this came alongside with the SS units such as the Einsatzgruppen or Death Squad. They followed the Wehrmacht just behind, the front line, because the Wehrmacht, who was the main German army, they did most of the fighting, whereas the Einsatzgruppen followed behind them, and they pretty much were tasked to destroy Polish leadership and torture. Well, that's when concentration camps come in, and put sanctions on Jews, which is Einsatzgruppen. And then you got the Totenkopfverbande, who was led by Theodor Eick. So pretty much they were the ones who, they were architects and the key figures installed in concentration camps.
Mm-hmm.
So they killed Polish Jews, leaders, and so they were probably the Death's Head unit, who were probably the most famous SS units in history, in my opinion.
Yes, and if you want a good example of Einsatzgruppen, and I apologise for yet again butcher pronunciation, the Delawanger Brigade, watch the film Come and See, where it perfectly shows off what that brigade was like, and no doubt what other Einsatzgruppen brigades were like during World War II.
Another major SS unit was called the Verfügung, who was led by Paul Hauser. He was pretty much like the Einsatzgruppen.
Yes.
Just followed behind. They're brand new, fresh off the conveyor belt, fresh out of the factory. SS units are very early, and they fought alongside the Wehrmacht. And fun fact is, well, not a fun fact, but a fact about the Wehrmacht and SS. They did not like each other.
Oh,
SS,
yes.
They did not like each other. The Wehrmacht were conscripts, sometimes even trained soldiers from earlier fighting. The SS were trained murderers, trained.
I just want to point out a lot of the SS was actually made up of conscripts as well. Yes.
Yeah. However, in this Polish era,
that was the initial bit. Yeah.
In 39 and early 40s, they were fully trained, very, very key special forces unit led by Heinrich Himmler.
Yes. Obviously, in the early wars, and as we actually mentioned this in Gathering the Storm, SS units were initially created as a bodyguard unit for high-ranking Nazis, including Hitler, right? But it wasn't really until sort of Battle of France time that they were turned into full-fledged fighting machines. I showed off, I think it was the 1st SS Panzer Division in the last episode. A lot of SS divisions were reorganised to be able to fight on the front lines shortly after the Battle of Poland.
Yeah, that was just a brief, overview of Poland. I'll mention some other key commanders involved, extra facts of the German invasion of Poland. So, you also had Walter von Brauchitsch, or Kowicz, or whoever German. Some Germans in the comments, if we even have it. So, Walter von Brauchitsch, he was in charge. He was commander-in-chief of the Wehrmacht, German army. Or, I'm going to butcher this, the Oberkam des Heer. I think it was Oberkommando des Heer. I don't know the name.
Oberkommandoführer, is that it?
No, it's something like, yeah, he's the commander-in-chief. It wasn't the Führer, but it was...
yeah.
He was the main man of the Wehrmacht. He was a top dog. You also had Franz Halder, who was the chief of general staff of the planning of invasion of Poland. You also had Georg von Kukler, who was I believe he was the commander of the Third Army.
Yeah, I've got him on here. Where is he?
Yeah. Then you also got the commander of the Fourth Army, Gunther von Kluge.
Oh, Gunther von Kluge. That's
yes,
who I'm thinking of.
And then the commander of the Eighth Army, Johannes Blaskowitz.
Oh, Blaskowitz. I've got Blaskowitz as well, yeah.
He was the guy with the wonky cap, with the wonky SS cap.
Yeah, I got him there.
Wehrmacht cap, sorry. But yeah, then you also had the Fallschirmjägers, who were used, but not on a big scale. The 7th Flieger or Flieger Division. They were used to seize the Vistula and Bug rivers, and they were reserved for bigger plans. Hence France. You got Norway, Denmark,
yeah,
Norway,
Denmark, Netherlands,
Britain. Yeah, you got.
Yeah, obviously there was drawn up plans for Operation Sea Lion, but
we'll get on to that. We'll get on to that.
Well, okay, we go. I won't get too carried away. We'll get to that.
But the Fallschirmjägers were used, just not on a big scale. They were just used to secure key points like rivers, banks, airfields for the Luftwaffe, who was led by Hermann Göring.
Yep,
but,
Hermann Göring.
Yes, do you want to take over? I think we're done, 39.
We're not just done 39 yet. I want to add a few points.
Okay.
Hermann Göring. You can see what you want. Some people see him as a good naval commander. I more think of him as a person who could clear a buffet better than you could command an air force, right? And it's true, right? Because in my opinion, he could have won the Battle of Britain, but he didn't. But we'll come to that in a minute. So, around November time, 1939, Soviets set out goals for Finland, claiming the defence of Leningrad. They offer Finland a deal to take over the territory of Galicia, that's it, there. The Finnish refuse. So, what do the Soviets do? They line up 29 divisions, including 8 armoured divisions, for an invasion of Finland. Now, I'd just like to point out, they said they wanted to just get that territory, but if they just wanted to get that territory, would you really use 29 divisions for a small bit of territory? It was pretty.
Can I just interject real
quick?
quick?
Go on.
29 divisions, you say?
29, yes.
That's a lot of men against how many Finnish divisions? Sorry?
Not that many. But the
thing is, right? It wasn't a happy win for the Soviets. That's all we'll say.
Yes, because the Finnish, in what's called, they did guerrilla warfare, doing like hit and run tactics in the snow. A famous soldier. I hope if you're watching
Larry
this.
Thorne.
Sorry.
Larry Thorne or Larry Thorne. He was a famous Finnish officer who fought for the Finnish army and the SS, and he would also turn into a Green Beret in the 60s.
Yes.
Larry Thorne, he led, I think it was a guerrilla warfare unit designed to just pretty much they were commandos designed to take out Soviet convoys through Finland and towards, I think it was just above Leningrad, I believe.
Yes, yeah. I do believe that is correct. I was going to mention another famous soldier, and if you're watching this, I really do hope you know who he is. Simo Häyhä, the White Death. Famous Finnish sniper that has, correct us if I'm wrong here, Lou, the highest confirmed kills for the sniper.
505, I believe it was.
Yes, and that's confirmed. There's going to be a plethora
Probably
of
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the Finnish started doing hit and run tactics which bogged down the Soviet armada of divisions.
As well as, sorry to interrupt, but as well as the Soviet winter camo kit didn't come yet.
Oh,
so
yes, they were still using summer kit.
Yeah, they rolled up with green tanks, brown coats, whereas the Finnish rocked up with proper swimmy machine guns and proper whiteouts, skis. Really, really skilled. Unfortunately, lost. But honestly, you got to give it to them considering the size and the just pure mass of the Soviet Union.
The Soviet Armada, as I like to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, whilst the Finnish were bogging down the Soviets during November to around February time, 1939 to 1940, the Germans had to secure their northern flank in Norway, because a lot of their iron ore came through the port of Narvik in the north of Norway. I'm pointing to it here. But there's an issue. Denmark was in the way. So, what did the Germans do to Denmark? Steamrolled them.
Invade them.
Yeah.
Invade them. If you don't mind, can I please take over for this?
Go on, take over.
So this was labelled as Blitzkrieg in the West. Blitzkrieg pretty much just means lightning war. Who was the pioneer of it?
Heinz Guderian.
Yes. So in April 1940, Operation Weserbrunn, which was the invasion of Denmark and Norway in April 9th. Technically, Norway wasn't really a proper invasion; it was a naval invasion.
Yeah, it was a naval invasion where they landed at ports in Oslo, Kristiansand, Stavanger, Bergen, Trondheim, and then Narvik. But there was
with the use of Eirik Raeder's Kriegsmarine, who were especially effective because they deployed U-boats to fight England.
Yeah, but
the British Royal Navy.
There was an issue in places like Trondheim and Narvik, right? A pesky little thing called the Royal Navy got involved.
Yeah.
And Neville Chamberlain sent soldiers to fight up in Narvik, right? Which it was a complete disaster, the Norway intervention, which subsequently led to his resignation and Winston Churchill taking over.
As well as the resignation of Norway's monarch, King Haakon VII. After, I think it was 2 months, June the 10th they surrendered on, King Haakon VII, he actually fled to London while a puppet government was being installed in Norway. As well as Denmark surrendered in 6 hours.
I mean,
which is...
I'm not gonna lie, what did they expect? What do you expect with the size of the Danish army compared to the might of the German war machine?
6 hours, right, is not a long time.
No, it isn't.
That's actually...
Yeah, you go to sleep, you're Danish, you wake up, you're German.
Yeah. That's just shows you the pure, what do you call it? The wrath of the German army.
Wrath, yes, of the German war machine.
Yes. So that was pretty much an overview of Denmark and Norway, April 9th.
Obviously, you can spend like hours, like I said last episode, on specific topics in World War II. Like, you could talk about, obviously the Germans got bogged down a bit in Norway, right, due to the snow, which I have to say is a bit of a precursor to what happens in 1941 in the Soviet Union, but that's a topic for another time. So like I said, spent hours on that. But right now, in Hearts of Iron 4, I am ready for Fall Wish to take place. So let's get this over with.
Do you want to talk about a different battle of France?
Fall Gelb.
Fall Gelb. Yes,
Fall
Case
Brown.
Yellow.
Case Yellow and Case Brown.
Do you want to go over Fall Brown and I'll go over Case Yellow?
Yeah, so Fall Brown, right? Initial invasion of Luxembourg, Belgium, and the Netherlands. So the British Expeditionary Forces deployed to this bit of France I'm pointing to here, so northern France. The idea was they would swing forward along the Meuse River here. I really hope I got that river right. I'll put a correction up on screen if I'm wrong. Swing forward to the Meuse River to greet the Germans. Right, so as the British swung forward, Heinz Guderian and the Panzers swung round through Luxembourg. What the French thought would take 3 weeks to do, reaching the Sedan River, took about 3 days, which was insane, right? And from there, the RAF attempted to bomb a lot of bridge crossings, however they failed, lost a few planes, and once the Germans crossed the Sedan, Heinz Guderian then raced forward to the coast. It took them, I believe, around about 48 hours to drive from Sedan to the coast, around about that long, and it was very much insane. Nobody could have thought of this happening. The French had 2 million men. They had the strongest army in Europe, yet there was one major downfall of their army, their doctrine. They were still stuck on the idea of positional warfare, with the construction of the Maginot Line taking place. The majority of the French army was stuck in the Maginot Line. So, Lou, you want to talk about
So,
some other
yeah.
bits?
So the reason the French army was stuck in the Maginot Line was because of Operation Case Yellow, which was pretty much Eric von Manstein's Ardennes plan attack.
Yes.
So he was architect through the Ardennes. So pretty much, just a brief overview, his attack was to lure Allied forces into Belgium, while the main fighting force would go and break through at Sedan, which is in France. So that obviously cut them off, and you can see what happened to France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, including Poland right now, which is what Harry's doing.
Yeah, which, as you can see, I'm absolutely decimating the Polish.
So Army Group A was involved, which was Manstein's, I believe. You got Heinz Guderian's Army Group, as well as Erwin Rommel's tank, which is, I think was the sixth. Is it the sixth?
I think so, but I just want to bring up a point. The initial invasion of France was a repeat of World War One, following something called the Schlieffen, I believe it's called, Schlieffen plan, right?
Yes.
Swing through Belgium, take a hard left, and reach Paris, right? And as you know, World War One was a complete disaster with that idea. Only 4 weeks of I want to say sort of normal warfare before the quagmire took place. I just want to interject again as well. I talked about Sedan, initial invasion of Belgium and Luxembourg. I missed out the Netherlands. German parachuters, or if you want to be fancy, say the proper name, Fallschirmjägers, right? They landed at key points in Rotterdam, I believe Amsterdam, and other key strategic areas around the Netherlands. They secured key locations, key infrastructure. But another issue, the Dutch surrendered not so long after, but a recall message to the Luftwaffe apparently was never received. So the city of Rotterdam was devastated. It was absolutely leveled to the ground, and there's a lot of speculation on, was that true? Did the Germans intentionally bomb Rotterdam, or was it just an accident?
Well, unfortunately, things like that we'll never know. Everything's been burnt by Gestapo.
Yeah, in Operation Clausewitz, I believe it was called, at the end of the war.
Well, so pretty much Case Yellow was just, bring up to a certain point in the north, while the main army attacks below them, and just spear through. That was pretty much just a brief overview.
During this, the British Expeditionary Force, the BEF, was encircled with some French divisions and pushed back to the ports of Calais, Dunkirk, and hold on, I'm just going to have a quick look. Dunkirk, oh damn, it doesn't say. There's 3 ports that they were encircled into, right? Dunkirk was obviously the one that held out, allowing for Operation Dynamo to take effect, where British forces, the British MOD actually, issued an order utilising civilian vessels to go across to Dunkirk, pick up soldiers, and ferry them out to the waiting transport and warships. However, Calais was a different story. The garrison that was trapped there refused to surrender, so the entire might of the German Reich was unleashed on them, and I don't believe there was any survivors. I'll put a correction if I'm wrong, but it was fierce hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. Well, go watch the film Dunkirk, you'll just know what we're talking about.
There's a few things wrong in that film, but overall it's a great film.
It just shows you how important the RAF was. Civilian vessels as well would not be downplayed, including Allied commanders of, I believe it was the French, including the French, Africa, and all.
The rear guard. The rear guard.
Yes. So you had Maurice Gamelin, or Gamelin, if some French guys please correct us. And you also got Maxime Weigel, I believe his name was.
Yes.
Maxime Weigel.
I'll put
Why
his.
do you mean French?
I know. Why can't we just have normal names like the British?
Yeah. No.
I'm joking. I'll put a correction up on screen for the names that we completely butcher, because I apologise, we cannot pronounce these names properly.
We're just English. We're just dumb English people.
Yes.
But yeah, that was just pretty much an overview of France. Oh yeah, do you want to talk about the Battle of Britain?
Yes, the battle.
I'll-
Go on, sorry.
I'll go with a quick overview and then you can go into the details. Yeah. So, pretty much Battle of Britain, July 10th, 1940. Lasted a few months. Ended on October 31st, 1940. Pretty much, it was the Luftwaffe's attempt, the German Air Force's attempt, to gain air supremacy to carry out Operation Sea Lion, which was
German
planned
invasion of Britain.
yes. So obviously German failed. German Luftwaffe failed,
Luckily.
which was an embarrassment to Hermann Goering. So he was Luftwaffe commander. The RAF commander was a guy called Hugh Dowding.
Hugh Downing, yes.
Dowding, I believe his name
Dowding,
was.
yes.
So even the British, us, can mispronounce people's names, even though from our same place. But it was Hermann Goering versus Hugh Dowding. We won. It was
Gladly.
very odd. It's a very weird type of thing because nothing really exactly happened straight away. Then it started speeding up. You know,
Yeah,
it was one of those.
it progressively got quicker.
Yeah.
The bombing raids were taking place daily. There was a time period where I believe for about 3 to 4 weeks there was an air raid every single day.
Yep.
Which was
And-
just insane.
In my opinion, that was probably one of Britain's biggest achievements in the war.
Yes,
If we failed, if the British failed,
there would be no
Germany
libera-
would-
yeah,
yeah.
There'd be no liberation of France, no liberation of Western Europe. And
Nope.
without us, the Americans couldn't get involved, the Lend-Lease couldn't take place with the Soviet Union.
Allies would be cut down. No allies anymore.
Yep,
There'd be nothing left.
yep, I believe that's
Yeah.
the case, yep.
That just shows you that. So that was my overview. If you want to go into the details, you can, Harry.
Yeah, so Fall Brown has took place. France has capitulated. Vichy France has been set up under command of the old World War One General Philippe Pétain. Right?
Traitor.
Arguably, yes, a traitor to the French Republic. He served his country well in World War One, and then immediately went against them. And the armistice for the surrender of France was signed in the exact same carriage the Germans had to sign the armistice in 1918. Just interesting. So, soon after, German Luftwaffe aircraft began arriving in France on the coast. Barges across Germany hastily converted into landing craft for the eventual Operation Sea Lion to take place, which luckily never did. So Hermann Goering began launching heavy air attacks across Britain, intending to crush morale, crush key strategic areas, knock us out of the war in the air. And once he gained full air supremacy, the idea was some of the Kriegsmarine, alongside the Luftwaffe, would protect the landing craft as they came ashore. Obviously that never happened, due to a thing called the RAF. Just like Poland, we started off with around about 700 aircraft, mainly consisting of Hurricanes. We had some Spitfires in there as well. And by the end of the Battle of Britain, we actually ended it with more planes than we started with, which I think is a pretty good feat. But back to the Kriegsmarine, I want to say. Today, when we are recording this, it is the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. It is also the day the Bismarck was launched. So, Lou, you want to explain what the Bismarck was?
Yeah, it was a ship. So pretty much,
Ship,
it
yes.
was I think, correct me if I'm wrong, probably the most famous German ship of World War II.
Yes,
I
that's the
believe
one
it's-
everyone knows.
It sank. It sank the HMS Barham, I believe.
Ooh, did it sink the bar? I know it sank the hood, because it blew it out the water.
Yeah. I think it was. All I know is that the Ark Royal was sunk and the Courageous was sunk.
Courageous,
HMS
yes.
Courageous, which was an aircraft carrier, I believe.
Yes.
Which was sunk. I think that was just after Denmark, wasn't it? I believe.
I believe it was, yes. Now, I would like to, later on, if all goes well, I wouldn't mind doing a separate topic on the Kriegsmarine, because it's a very interesting topic, I have to say. A lot of people think that Kriegsmarine, compared to the Royal Navy, it was abysmal. Yeah, it was, but you had some great ships in there. You had the Turbot, the Scharnhorst, the Prince I'm putting a name up on the screen, the Prince Eugen, however you pronounce it. You had them ships. Fascinating bit of history to learn about. So,
It's also quite important because when the Third Reich fell, some guy called Karl Dönitz.
Called Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz.
Yes, he took command of, not very long, but he took command
Yeah,
of
like 10 days or something.
yeah, the fourth, the Fourth Reich.
Yeah, I like to call it the Fourth Reich, because technically it was actually. I mean, there wasn't much left. So though, we have covered Fall Reich, invasion of Poland. We briefly covered some of the beginning of the atrocities in Poland. The Warsaw Ghetto was set up where a lot of Jews and other infidels that the Germans saw as inferior to their race were subsequently put, and then subsequently they then starved to death.
Yeah.
We have covered Operation
Denmark.
Operation Wesbering, the invasion of Denmark and Norway, securing Germany's vital iron ore through the Arctic port of Narvik. Yep. Fall Gelb and Fall Brown, the invasion of Western Europe. Now is a good time to leave it off.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. I've been your host Harry. I've been joined with
Louis.
Hello again. Thank you very much for making it to the end of the video. That was our episode 2 on Blitzkrieg, a brief overview. Really, you could spend hours on this subject. I hope you stay tuned for our next episode on Friday, where we talk about the Red Sun Rampant, the inglorious ideology of the Japanese Empire and their ever expanding goals.
Cling to my baby, and she clings to me.